Watch the ride.
Hey everybody, hope you're all doing good out there. So recently I made a video talking about YouTube Premium, and something came up in the comments as like a running theme, a feeling, a perspective it would seem, that I didn't quite understand. And I then realised I'm not sure many people understand fundamentally how YouTube works. So in this video I'm going to very simply explain how YouTube works, and that might change some people's opinions on whether something should or shouldn't cost money, or what should and shouldn't be a thing, whether YouTube is an innate right or not. Before we get to that, we're going to look at this scenario. I'm sure you can understand that, the grey is the world, the green are the roads. You've got different companies out there with distribution centres, you've got product manufacturers, and you've got you. And this might be an Amazon, or it might even be a company which sells a product that you think comes straight from them, but it doesn't because someone else is subcontracting it. But whatever, we all get that this company has staff, it has insurance costs, legal costs, building costs, all the stuff it has to do. This costs money. You have the distribution centers. These all cost money to this company. So then we can look at the product manufacturers. They produce a product which they need to sell. So they need to make money to cover the costs that they're doing. So they pay to produce an item which they then pay to distribute onto the roads, which goes to the distribution center, because they're having this company sell this item for them. So then there's you. You want to buy the product. So you pay money normally to this head company to ask them to send you an item, which they will send from their distribution center down the road to you. And you understand that for your item you have received, the person who made the product needs to make their money. You understand the person that took it from here to here needs to make their money. This company here needs to make their money. This person here who's delivering it needs to make their money. So you understand that not only are you paying for the product, you're also paying maybe 50% or whatever percentage for the services and the costs of that getting to you and everything else involved. Pretty simple setup. Everyone gets that, right? So what if, instead of that scenario, the road was the internet, YouTube was the company, data centers were your distribution centers, creators are the product manufacturers, and you are you. YouTube have to pay for their company. Staff, R&D, the legal departments, all of that stuff. They have to pay for that. That costs them money. Now, the data centers are basically a lot of hard drives. They're servers. They're just a space for data to exist. These, for the equipment, costs money. To run them costs money, and a lot of money. It's a lot of electricity. You also have to pay for staff to maintain them, which is kind of covered by this. But these are sometimes rented from other people. It all depends. But Google has kind of got a lot of their own distribution service, but that's too complicated for this simplified thing. So they have their costs. Now you have the creator, people like me. If you're full-time, your time is money. You would have been doing a different job, so you need your time to be compensated. There's also the costs of, the equipment and doing everything you do. So this could be like the cost of your time and the cost of your life. This is the cost of equipment. So you have costs for creating the product. So I upload my product to the internet, which goes to the data center for YouTube. So the creator pays for not only the time, but also pays for the connection to upload it to YouTube. So at this point in time, YouTube has spent out a lot of money to have a service available, and I've paid out money to create content. Then you come along as the viewer. You pay for a connection to the internet. You pay for this bit. But you connect to a data center where my video is, which comes down through the internet, back to you, and it comes back to your TV. This is a TV or a computer, whatever you want it to be. So the creator's content and debt, you might want to say, has been transferred as a file to YouTube, who have added on their own debt to that file. Remember, they are paying for not only the data centers, but also the bandwidth. You are paying to connect to the internet. they are paying to bring the thing to you, because what you're actually doing is directly connecting into their services, their centers, through nodes and stuff, but you know, it effectively is doing that. So when the video arrives to you, there is a debt involved in this video because you are consuming it through a service. So I need to make some money and they need to make some money. They aren't going to make money without content, so they need creators and they need to be paid. Equally, creators aren't going to make any money without a platform, so that we understand that it's a partnership between us to bring what we produce through their system to you. So that content arrives at your eyes with debt, and you have to pay that debt if you want to use that service. Now, one of the simple ways they do this is they just get your data, but unfortunately your data is not worth a huge amount of money. So what they then need is your time and your actual cash. The way they can get your cash is indirectly. So they know you're going to be spending time here watching a thing. So a company makes a product. They pay YouTube to advertise the product to you in that content. In other words, ads. You go and buy that product, and some of the money that they've paid back to Google comes back to them because they've sold their product, they've been paid in an ad. So you have paid the debt. So if you want to watch content and you don't want to give them your data, that's tricky because it's Google. But if you don't want to give them your time, like having an ad blocker or something like that, this debt will still remain and they need to cover that in some way. So generally, they're going to make it annoying for you using the service by, you know, adding a lot of ads, or try and cover the costs of how many people are trying to use ad block and stuff like that by having to put more ads on to cover the costs, in the same way you might understand that in the scenario of delivering a product to you, if it comes from a very long way away and it's very heavy, you might pay more. It's the same sort of thing. Of course, the alternative is they directly get your cash by you getting a subscription to the service, which removes the need for your time, but they're still going to get you data. And this is the point that I don't think people are getting. You know, this exists because you want to use it, but it can't exist for free. It's not an innate right, and it never was free. People thought it was free in the early days. No, it wasn't. It was just YouTube was, or Google, YouTube in the early days, and then Google was footing the bill. And the creators were also footing the bill, because in the very early days when I started, making money wasn't even an option. It was completely about passion, and it still is for many people. But if you want to do it seriously, it takes so much time that you haven't got time to work a normal job. So your costs are now not only your time as if you were working, but also the costs of producing the content. Whereas in normally you just pay fuel and clothes to go to work, food, stuff like that. It actually costs money to make the product. That's why I say it comes down to the audience. If you take that product, that video, which comes with an inherent debt, and you don't pay that debt in some way, then this system will fall apart. Creators will not have the money to create because the platform won't have the money to develop the service and, you know, supply the service, which means the whole thing falls apart and then you end up with no product at all. There are no free lunches. There is no way for this to exist. Let's continue this on just a bit further because there's a bit more I need to cover with this. So say, for instance, you do actually pay them the cash. So you're not giving them your data, you're not giving them time of ads, you're paying cash to YouTube to show you the content. And they pay me money from that for you to watch it because it's covering the costs of everything involved. Everyone's happy. And if everyone was on this subscription system, the amount of ads on the platform would either be none or significantly less. But because there are so many people who don't want to give data or don't want to give their time in watching ads by getting an ad blocker, means that the few that are in the scenario that they aren't paying cash for the service and they're not using an ad blocker end up seeing way more ads than they should be. Continuing on again, there is a feature of premium that really tells you something. So I don't know if it's widespread yet or whether it's still in testing, but the point is, if you have premium, you get this skip button in the video that says skip to the relevant point. Now, you know when you look on YouTube timelines, you see spikes in where people have restarted or rewatched the video. This is where the ad will be. So people have skipped forward until the point where the ad ends, as in the placement, the sponsored ad by the YouTuber themselves within the video that you can't get away from. they've added this system in so you can skip past that to where the content really starts. Normally about 4 or 5 minutes into videos if they're about 20 minutes long. And this is another side to it. People have a real issue with, you know, the idea of a subscription system, but having massive amounts of advertising shoved down your throat is okay. And also those products tend to be the crappiest because, you know, in a product, again, there are costs. There's manufacturing cost, and then there's the profit. Well, and marketing. Well, if your manufacturing cost is this, and your marketing cost is this, so this is it, and you sell it up here, you're paying this price level for this quality because of the marketing. And that's why so many products which are sold, you know, really, really pushed on the internet are actually not very good. Say the reason they've done that is because it's really annoying if someone monetizes their videos but then also shoves in sponsored ads. You'll note with people who have Patreon, normally they will produce a video for Patreon without any of the ads. So we don't turn monetization on before it goes to everyone live. So for instance, with my Patreon, I upload it to the data center and it's not distributed to everyone. I send you a link and then you can access that link. And at this point, there are no ads running on the videos. When it goes live to everyone, that's the point that the ads go live for me. In my videos, I have no sponsor. This isn't necessarily because I wouldn't, although I don't like the idea of doing it. Nearly everything I've ever been offered looks like a scam or is crappy. The only time I've ever been offered anything I really liked was something like a product I wanted to review, like for instance, you know, the Insta360 1X and 2X I have. 1X2 even, sorry, stupid name still. Those are products which I reviewed and I was given them and I explained I was given them, but I also use them still to this day, which shows you it's not just something I'm showing you and saying this is the best thing ever. It's a product I use every day. And Insta360, if you're listening, I'd love a newer camera. You can talk to me again. They don't mind if you give me a camera. It's better for them and better for me. Anyway, so yeah, basically this is how this all works. This company doesn't magically exist. These data centers don't magically exist and pay for themselves. The bandwidth, the actual cost of you watching it, which wouldn't exist were it not for you watching it, that bandwidth, that has to be paid for. The creators have to be reimbursed. You can't expect it for free, 100%, without giving a lot of data, time, or cash. There you go. I hope that makes things a bit more straightforward for some people. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you're new here, support me on Patreon or YouTube memberships. But at the moment I'm actually going to say, can you do Patreon? Because there is some tax things coming up with Ireland, AdSense, YouTube. It's all a bit of a mess and it looks like pretty much every UK AdSense account may lose 30% of their earnings until they can claim back some of it at the end of the year. It's complicated. I'm currently trying to get them to accept the fact that I live in the UK, which is easier to convince the Americans than it is the Irish. There you go. Anyway, till the next one. Bye-bye.